we're live. It's great to see you there, Barbara. And Dee Dee.
And Bill.
Hi. Hi. It's always such a relief when we go live. It shocks me every time it happens. Yes, so, hi, Linda. Linda's here with us. And Kyla, Kathleen.
Hey, Kathleen.
Oh, it's
hey,
so great to see everyone. Hi, Bill. It's great to see you too. Fabulous. So we're all here for a speaker's preview, corner preview. I'm Jennifer Jones, and I'm from Tracking Down the Family. And I have two wonderful guests with me today, which I will introduce you to in a moment. But first, for anyone, hi Leslie, anyone who doesn't know what Speaker's Corner is, this is our third session. We're monthly, and it's a Project Kin event, and we have two guests come along every time and speak to a theme, but they have their own topic. So I just think it's always amazing how the themes cross over, even though they're usually completely different, as you'll find they are today. So I'll introduce you to my guests. I have two wonderful and much-loved Project Kin guests today. Diane Burley from Musings of a Storyteller, who I'm sure you all know, anyone who is around Project Kin would know, and Laurie Olson. They're both wonderful storytellers and very active in the Project Kin community. So it's really great to welcome them. So they are going to give us today just a preview of what they're going to talk about later in the week when we have the Speaker's Corner event. So I always worry about who to go to first. It has worried me right from the start.
Not me.
Well, actually, it's not you. I decided what I'm going to do for every Speaker's Corner is go alphabetical with a Christian name. Just so I feel bad when I ask someone to go first and I don't ask the other one. So over to you, Diane. Would you like to tell us about your story? You're the lucky first.
I'm thank you so much. Well, first, I'm really, really excited to be here with you all. I'm new to this whole family history genealogy. My background is as a reporter, and then I ended up in the tech world as an editor in tech. And so a few years ago, I got to resume writing for my soul instead of writing to feed my family. And it's been really a lot of fun. And really what got me into the genealogy and in writing about the subject that I am writing about is I was at my aunt's 100th birthday party a few years ago. She's 103 now. She had a 103rd birthday last week. She's my mom's oldest sister, and I lost my mom a long time ago. And when you lose somebody, the mother, I think, more so than even in the father, so young, you get displaced from all the family stuff. And I'm up at her house, and she said, we have a cousin who was a labor organizer and a labor reformer and suffragette. And I'm going, wait a minute, how did I not know about this, right? I wrote I was editor-in-chief of Executive Female Magazine. I mean, I could have used this information about 35 years ago. So that's what really was the precipice of me getting into family history. And I started diving in to learn more about this really phenomenal woman who I'm going to talk about more on Thursday. But what she's given me is sort of a cornerstone. She's both my subject and a mirror. I watch, and as I find out more about her, I'm learning more about myself. And I think that from listening to you all who are involved in genealogy, I think that's something that you all are finding, which is what my sister says to me, why are you digging into all this family history?
We've all had that question.
I don't know, but I'm obsessed now.
I'll just interrupt for a sec. Barbara just said, aunties are so special, elders are amazing, and a 103-year-old auntie is amazing. Yeah.
You know what? I'm so privileged because when you're doing research, I can read it. I can read what happened in a given time period. But
Yeah.
really, having been born in 1922, she's closer to this Leonora Carney Berry, who was born in 1849. In many ways, she's closer to that cohort than to modern day. So she's really been this phenomenal bridge, being able to tell me what was it like before there was so much technology and running water inside. I mean, they lived
Yeah.
in the country, in a country house.
Yeah.
So she in the same North Country of upstate New York. So they lived in the same town. So it's really been terrific to
Yeah.
have this bridge.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And she's close enough that Leonora really would have felt like her family. You know how, you get that distance going out and they're your ancestors, but Leonora, I think, would have really felt like her family, wouldn't she? Just being so close.
Very much so. And
Yeah.
my grandmother's uncle Leo, had a farm right near Leonora's family's farm. So
Yeah.
that just makes it all much more real.
Yeah. 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 Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story later in the week, Diane. So that was a really great preview. And Leonora sounds like she was an amazing woman, and and a woman ahead of her times for sure, doesn't she? Wasn't she?
Yeah, she followed all the conventions of the time. She was a school teacher and then she got married, but
Yeah.
then she was widowed with 3 kids. And what do you do?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that, they think in terms of, I'm going to get married and it's all going to follow
Yeah.
a script.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then life interrupts.
Yeah. Yeah. Life gets in the way and you have to go to plan B. And she really did do that, didn't she? So, yeah. Yeah. So that's really great. So we're really looking forward to hearing more about that later in the week, Diane. So over to you, Laurie. Tell us your story.
Diane, I think you really said something that resonates with almost all of us in the family history. Is there's a point when you feel I call it being untethered, right? Where you get to a point and you're like, I don't know where I belong. I don't, somebody dies in the family, or it's you come to a point where you realize that you don't know your ancestors as well as you need to, and time is running out.
Yeah.
At least that's how it felt for me after my mom passed away. And I felt like I was running out of time. I didn't know who these people were.
Yeah.
And I had this deep urge to, and I think talking to a lot of people in their community, that's kind of universal. Whether you go hard at it or you're just kind of someone that maybe just tinkers in it.
Yeah.
I think there's that need in all of us to know who our family is, and to go beyond just the names. We have that conversation a lot, that it's not the names, it's the stories and the memories and how they relate to us.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that's when Jennifer asked me to do this, and she said it was going to be about legacy, legacy is such a big word, right?
It is.
And Diana, you and I have talked about that too. It's like, how far do you go? My talk on Thursday is going to center on my grandparents and this goblet collection that they had, and they built it over the course of their entire marriage, and when I think about the legacy of them, it's very distinct. But then, I'm not getting any younger, and I've got a huge collection of goblets sitting right over there, and that legacy is starting to get a little heavy for me.
Sure is.
I don't want to break it up, but what do I do with it?
Yeah.
And I think those are kind of questions that everybody asks or has in their head, and some of us ask them and track them down a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think on that, what do I do with them? It's also, oh goodness, what's going to happen to them? Will someone else love them as much as I do when I'm not around? That's a huge question, isn't it?
Right? And how do you do that? Well, how you do it is you you tell everybody in your family the stories of them, right?
Yeah.
And you become the storyteller, and they become the vehicle for those stories.
Yeah.
And in telling their stories, you're telling your family story, and you're telling your grandparents' stories, and you're telling the stories of the time, and the history of what was going on at the time. These goblets, most of them were made in the 1830s to 1860s.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're time sensitive too.
Yeah.
So it's like I've spoke before to both of you about how difficult this. I really have wanted to tell the story of this collection for a very long time, and I don't know what kind of a box to put it in. And I'm still working on what I'm going to say on Thursday because I just it's there's a lot there, and I don't know how to tell the story.
Yeah, and it's a huge story, isn't it? You know, and
Huge
as you say,
story.
it comes with so much history. 1830s,
Well-
1860s, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, and there's so much
Barbara said that too.
There's so much microhistory around each one of
Oh,
those goblets. I mean, each time
absolutely.
period, the location they were made, who
Yeah.
made them.
Yeah.
Well, it goes to that, but also my grandparents kept a journal. And so whenever they would buy a new goblet, they would put in their where they got it, how much they paid for it, what the goblet was, what they were doing when they, like, so it'll say, we bought this on March 2nd of 1860 or 1962 in Tucson, Arizona at the Blue Bonnet Antique Shop, and so you can put it on a map where
Yeah.
each one of these goblets was found. And if you talk about microhistory, how did a goblet that was made in Philadelphia end up in California in 1964?
As Barbara said,
Who carried it out there?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Kathy. Kathy Stone says that is so cool. Sorry, I've missed quite a few of you as you've popped in, but hello to everyone and thank you for coming along.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, as you're mapping that, it's a history of their life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just with these simple little objects.
And their romance.
Yes.
And their romance, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've got all these stories of how they would travel and how they would stop at all these little antique shops, and so it's like this gigantic story that's been sitting out in the periphery of my life, my whole life.
Yeah.
And I've known all along that it was mine to tell.
Yeah.
So there's a legacy there too. But
Yeah.
And like you, Diane, you hate to screw it up.
I have like 10 teacups of my grandmother's, and I'm like, what am I going to do with these 10?
I know.
Yeah. But even Lenora's story, right? You want to make sure you tell it right. You want to, it comes as writers. Like my big question for every story is, how do I tell this? What's the best way to tell this story? The approach. And as writers, that's everything, right?
Well, it is, and you want to make it interesting so that those coming behind you are interested enough to read it and realize how important it is.
Well, and she's been so short. Leonora's been so shortchanged. I mean, there's a Wikipedia page, and it's spotty with information. What really got me into her, I mean, besides just the general subject matter, but when I started reading the citations and who was writing about her, it was, whoa, what's going on here? But you see, what happened is she remarried, and once she remarried, the path went dry. People went, oh, she did this for 3 or 4 years, and then that was the end of the story.
She was a dilettante, right?
She was a dilettante. She remarried. A guy was going to take care of her, so that was the end of the story
anymore.
No, there are 50 more years of story after that, and I was like, and now I'm like, what was the motivation to do what she did? I mean, there's survival is your plan B, right?
Yeah.
Plan C has changed the world.
Well, but she found her calling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She did.
And she found the legacy she was meant to leave. Again, that big word.
and I think the legacy that continues today is that if we watch and learn from her, there's a perspective we can gain for a lot of the challenges that we face in our life. And I think that's what's been so much fun, is using her as a bit of I can do a modern day story and do a touchstone on her, where I pull her in, just for a little. I do something on bad bosses, and she had some bad bosses.
She's there for that.
And even if you don't mention her name, she's in your head.
Right.
So even if the story isn't directly about her, you have her perspective and her point of view in that story, because you're like, wow,
and
I bet she went through this too, right?
I can't whine anymore. There's nothing.
And
my worst day is not even close to what she went through.
That's always good to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not for her, for you. And as Barbara says, motivation turns facts into stories. It really does.
Yeah.
I'm so
looking
curious.
past.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just so curious as to where you house these goblets. I mean, it must be a whole room unto themselves. Oh, see, this is.
Here we go.
She's going to do a video tour on Thursday.
Insane.
Oh, there we are. How amazing!
Can you see us?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's
what a collection.
So that's part of them. That's part of them.
Yeah.
But I've got ones over there. I've got ones upstairs. Kit can tell you they're all over my house. Anyone who's ever been in my house knows they've they're everywhere. I keep my toothbrush in one. I keep pencils in the kitchen in them.
And I'm sure your grandmother would love to know that you're using them. That's the other thing.
I grew up. Grandma would keep hard candy in them. So that's where she kept the M&Ms and the nuts. So
I wonder that.
And she inherited some goblets too, right? Some of these are family.
A couple of them, yeah. Some of them were given to her by family members. Some of them were given to her by, her friends for birthdays, things like that. It got to be so much a part of who they were that it's like when you have a charm bracelet, right? And everybody knows, I can get her a charm.
Yeah. That's right.
So
my family loved it.
But every one of them has a story.
Yeah.
Right?
Going to what Diane said before made me think, and we have discussed it here, I know, how many, I wonder, of our stories of our females have died out because they're, women at home looking after children, and that's assumed that that's their life, and people don't give.
Yeah,
I know people are more aware of it now, and we're digging around for those stories. But perhaps in the past, no one dug around for the female stories because that was their story.
Well, Barbara at Project Kin has this Stories 250, and this whole diving into Leonora has been a springboard into diving into all over the place now, right? So, I had to dive into the Revolutionary War, and I decided I was going to write about a woman. And it was hard I can't find any when she was born. She's known as the wife. She's known as the daughter. Her father was wealthy and not wealthy, but, had land and willed it to her husband through his daughter. She's nameless.
That's
the person with no name. And meanwhile, she's having 5 babies during the Revolutionary War. She's got soldiers pounding on the door, begging for food or demanding
and
food.
no husband around, right?
Yeah, exactly, And
I'm like, why isn't there a statue for this lady?
They are often nameless, aren't they? And in the records, the wife of so-and-so died. But Kathy Stone has just said, I have a large box of Depression-era glass that my husband just brought back from, is PA Pasadena as a guest?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. When he moved his mother into care, anxious to see what is in it. Yeah. A big
Depression glass is beautiful. Yeah,
right.
I've got some books, Cassie, I can recommend.
Oh, there you go, Kathy.
Have you had to dive into all this? I mean, have you become like an expert on glass? Can you go out and identify now?
Yeah.
That's
No
what's
doubt.
cool, right? You're like a glassologist.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure
Yeah, I
back
don't
the other
know.
way.
Obsessive might just be the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back the other way to Diane.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? Because if you're gonna,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say back the other way to Diane. Have you become obsessive about the labour movement in Leonora's day?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always considered myself as having been, very much into women's rights and feminism and all that. And I just keep learning. It's just like, you're just peeling back the skins of an onion and learning more and more and more.
Yeah. But isn't that the great thing about studying our family history? How much you learn? Like, I didn't see that coming when I first started doing it 40 years ago. I was just looking for names, and dates. But, you just learn so much about the history and history of place and history of people and
It's far more
occupations.
interesting than learning about the history of routers and, stuff from technology.
I'm sure it is. Yes.
I feel like I'm reconnecting to humanity, which is really what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other pitch that I always throw out when people ask why genealogy and family history, and you touched on that, Jennifer, right, and Diane too. There's so much to be curious about. And there's something in there for everyone. I mean, honestly, if you're the person that's excited about routers, you can go down that rabbit hole in genealogy.
Yeah.
You can, whatever it is that sparks a light in you, you can find it in family history. And it connects you to things you didn't even know were important to be connected to.
I agree. And I think that the big thing is to just keep, I keep asking why. What made them go here? Why did they do this?
Exactly.
And then I try,
Yeah.
I mean, they're becoming characters, and I can envision having conversations with them, which is probably a little weird.
Yeah, but why?
So weird. Just we don't talk about it out loud.
Yeah.
All right, just did. I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I think when you understand their why, or you make up your own why for them, because we can't always know what their why is, can we? It helps you to understand them better. Why did they pack up and move across to the other side of the world? Or
I had a little conundrum. I wanted to write about her first husband, and there's nothing written about her first husband, but I was really fortunate. I met a woman who was a great-great-granddaughter, and she had a family Bible, and in the family Bible was an obituary of her first husband who died. And those 9 paragraphs or so gave me enough clues that I could go down these rabbit holes and start pulling out. And I wrote a story. I call it the footnote, because he is just a footnote, right? Or she was his footnote. She was Leonora Barry, his wife, the footnote. And so it really gave me like a little bit of an anchor to find more about him. But then I found out, as I'm, digging through old newspapers, I find out that there is a man the same age, the same town, the same, he was a musician, and he went to jail. He was convicted for assaulting somebody who didn't pay his bill. I'm going, did she marry this man? And I can't know. I mean, I've tried to find out. A lot of the records have been lost. I called Dunamora Prison. It was a correctional facility, to find out if this indeed is the same person. Could I, by the age, I mean, I've got like a gist. But then I found out he got a full governor's pardon. So I'm back to, my gosh, it probably is the same person.
Right.
And wow, that opens up another avenue. She's so forgiving.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, she married him after he did this.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
She maybe didn't know.
Yep. There's a point.
In a town of 2,500, I don't think that's the case.
Oh, he went back to the same town. Yeah, then
They were all in the same town, but she became a huge temperance person, and he was drunk when he did this. So did the two of them swear off
Absolutely.
alcohol?
Yeah.
Was that the motivation? You know, and that's part of what I've been doing is trying to figure out just like you with your grandparents. It's like, what started this thing? What was
Yes.
the very
Yeah.
first thing?
Exactly.
And why?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the labor movement too, you know, that was, you know, because I've come across a ton of those kinds of stories in the research that I do. And you know, when you start looking at it, most of the time it's an affluent do-gooder, somebody that doesn't have a lot going on, and they see a little orphan kid in their milliner's office or something, and that
Yeah.
sparks their desire to do that. You know, but it generally wasn't, you know, like it generally wasn't a working class person that started those. They didn't have the time, they didn't have the influence, they didn't
Yeah.
have the, you know, a lot of times they didn't have the communication skills.
Yeah.
So how that I mean, gosh, if you could find that, right, that opens everything up. Like,
Yeah.
what did she see or experience?
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I'll tease you. On Thursday, I'll tell you more.
Oh, it's easy for
Okay.
Thursday. I love it.
Perfect. Hey, man, hand in glove
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
Man, I
yeah.
couldn't have done that even better if I knew.
Oh, well, these are just such wonderful stories, and I think everyone out there can just hear the joy in your voice, both of your voices, of telling your stories about your family. And we don't, other than writing, we don't always get the opportunity to do that, and especially to an interested audience, which we will have at Speaker's
It's
Corner
that last
later in the
part that
week.
I have trouble with.
Yes. Hey, I agree. Me too. Absolutely. But at Speaker's Corner, we have an interested and engaged audience that loves to hear your stories. So we're really looking forward to it. I do love the way what you're both doing to preserve the legacy of the people that came before you in completely different ways, you know. I mean, Laurie is doing it by, preserving these amazing goblets that have been collected, I'm sure, with love over many years. And, Diane's, Lenora's legacy is being continued on by Diane's writing, you know. And I just think it's incredible
Yep.
that you're doing this. Yeah. So what I wanted to do about now before we leave, Barbara usually does a little heads up to what's coming during the week. So I thought I'd do that, and I hope I don't mess it up, Barbara. We have Mission Genealogy coming up on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where you are in the world. And Mission Genealogy is where you can come along and bring your office hours. It's the office hours segment. You can come along and bring your questions about Substack, annoyances, things you wonder about. You're not sure whether you're doing it right, not sure even how to do it. That's me sometimes. And Barbara will always put us on the right track with that. So that's coming up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and that rotates between Pacific and Atlantic time. And this week, a friendly time for Pacific and Atlantic. And so this week it's the Pacific friendly time. So then we have Speaker's Corner on Thursday, Friday. So Barbara will pop in the links, the times for us for Speaker's Corner and for everything else. So, and as Barbara says, everyone contributes, which is exactly what is great about Project Kin. It's a community event for everyone. It's great. And I think that's about all I had to say. Oh, yes, I wanted to speak forward to December. So we have something exciting coming up in December just to celebrate the end of the year and the holidays and all that. So keep an eye out for that. We'll talk about that next month when we're here. So thank you so much to everybody for coming along. I so appreciate your interest, and the interest in Speaker's Corner right from the start has just been absolutely incredible and blown me away. So it's so great to see you all here again today. And the three of us will see you again later in the week on Speaker's Corner. And don't forget to register. It's a free event, but you will need a Zoom link. And thank you, everyone, for the hearts. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. See you
See you.
Thursday.
Thank you, Laurie and
Jennifer, thank
Diane.
you for being
Bye-bye.
up before the sun.
Yeah, right?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you
Bye-bye.
later.
Bye now.
Thanks.
Bye.